Welcome to the Dog Classroom.
The Dog Classroom podcast. I am your co-host, Anne-Marie.
And I'm your co-host, Amelia.
Like and subscribe
on Spotify and YouTube in video format. And now into the episode.
Here we go. Welcome everybody back to our next episode for our podcasts. Amelia and I thought it was a great idea to have some different guests. So we can talk about different topics and sort of bounce ideas off of one another. So I have sitting with me Dr. Jessica Panontin of the Thunder Bay Veterinary Hospital. Very lucky to have her. Had to call in a few little favors to get her here. Reason why I think I wanted you here, and of course Amelia was really good with the idea as well, is because to me, behavior training and the health of the dog all coincide.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I would say for Dr. Panontin, she would probably say that for sure, because I'm always seem to be going to her when I do have a scenario that I can be concerned about when a different dog or something's brought to me, and I'm like, okay, should I be concerned about medical or should we already say behavioral? And it's nice to have the person to sort of talk to and I don't even say banter a little bit, but just have different ideas.
Yeah,
right.
And it goes back and forth too.
Yes.
Because I'll be in appointments and I'll have behavioral concerns or, basically ask Anne-Marie, what do you think I should do?
Yeah, so it's definitely, and again, for a few clients, we definitely have the same clients. Yeah. I work on one
Which is really nice
issue.
When we have that. You have mutual clients where you have a behavioral issue, separation anxieties, or just puppy behaviors, and that they're going to class with you, and I can be like, well, this is what I recommend, but don't forget to ask Anne-Marie.
Yeah, just so it's like a little bit of a double whammy there that we're talking about the same thing. So Dr. Panontin and I have come up with some different topics that I think will be fun to sort of play around with. The bonus too is Jessica's going to join us for a second podcast as well. And we're going to get into some things to expect in spring. And of course we go ticks, fleas, heartworm, right? As soon as the bugs and stuff come out. So this one, we're going to sort of talk more about in the clinic stuff, right? So basically I asked Dr. Panontin, because I was looking online and so forth, what 5 things that she thinks people should ask her when they come, for a visit, like book an appointment to see her. Because I think a lot of times, and it's cute, right? People have the list when they come see you, and they're giving you the list. But I think it was sort of neat, some of the ones that that Dr. Panontin came up with. So I'm just going to mention them, and then I'm going to let her sort of explore it a little bit as to why. So geriatric exams.
Yeah, and I mean, so when Anne-Marie asked me this question, I'm like, well, I don't know what I want people to ask me. But so what did I do? I Googled, what do people ask their vet?
So did I.
So, and the first thing that always comes up is that animals should have an annual exam. So, and as cliche as it sounds, so animals should come in for their annual exam.
Because a lot of people say or do, because if their vaccines are only due every 2 to 3 years,
they might not come in.
Exactly.
And this applies more to, I would say, not applies more to, but definitely when they're geriatric or senior, coming in annually just to get checkups. So that would kind of be, even though it comes up and it sounds cliche, that's still probably the number one thing is, yes, I think dogs should come in for, their annual exam and checkup.
So so let's break down annual exam just a touch. Because again, I think it's important for people to ask questions, but I've also been in exam rooms with you, and you've actually found something that the owner didn't know about. So when we say geriatric exam, like, what are you looking for? What are you checking?
Well, I mean, obviously we're checking from head to toe, but it is things that It starts with questions. So, going through the history, people will tell me things, and sometimes it triggers something like, oh, yeah, my cat's been drinking lots of water. My cat's been peeing a lot. Okay, so we're going to check out a few things.
Right.
We're going to check the animal's muscle mass. We're going to check their eyesight. We're just going to check some things that might rule out some senior conditions that the animal can be dealing with. Cats are always come up in this question because they hide everything. Yeah, right. Dogs will tell you a little bit more, but cats are really good at hiding diseases until they're very sick. So basically, but it goes from head to toe. Like we're going to check everything out.
Yeah. So basically, like the palpation, muscle mass for sure, right? Yep. Because I've seen a lot of that, and I think sometimes when you live with the animal, you don't recognize the small changes, right? And the reason why I encourage, and, unfortunately for Dr. Panontin, I'm in there probably more than yearly. So anyway, find this little nook or cranny, right? This little lump. But the thing is I think it's important to have a relationship with your vet, right? And if you're used to seeing that dog every year, you're going to notice the subtle changes.
Definitely. The clients that I see every year, I have I can remember animals, but I won't always remember the people.
Yeah. So I hear you.
I'll look and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember Fluffy last year. And you know what? I think Fluffy's lost a little bit of weight. And, we go back and check the record. Oh yeah, Fluffy's lost a pound or so. Yeah. I wonder what's going on there. Or the opposite, Fluffy's gained 5 pounds.
Yeah,
and,
here we go.
Maybe we need to go on a diet. And so, but yeah, having a vet that you see consistently definitely helps because they learn your animal. And again, going back to behavior, they know your dog and sometimes, or your cat, and they know how to deal with them. They know, oh, might bite me when I touch his feet. So we're going to leave that till the end, or, checking the mouth. We're a little head shy, so we'll just be careful, or we're better with no restraint, or all those kind of things. So it's nice to be consistent with the same vet.
Right. And it's not only you're building a relationship with the owner, you're also building a relationship with the animal.
For sure.
Yeah. Yep. Something I just want to throw in a little bit about Dr. Panontin, just sort of had me think about it here for a second, is she also, how do I put this? I think willingly she does it, but she does work with a lot of the pocket, we want to say pocket pet or small animals, which because it, and I'm joking about it, but in Thunder Bay, there actually isn't a lot of specialty, and I think people have. So if you're wondering what I'm referring to, let's say hamsters, guinea pigs, rabbits.
Yep. And thinking of my question, so one that I didn't give you that I was going to is that there are specialists in vet med. And the segue here is I'm not a specialist in exotic medicine or small mammals or reptiles, but I do see them, and we don't have a lot of options in Thunder Bay. So I try my best to know as much as possible to help those animals. So I do see a lot of rabbits, a lot of guinea pigs, some ferrets, some chinchillas, bearded dragons, leopard geckos, all those kind of things.
Right.
So,
and we used to see more iguanas.
We had one iguana.
Yeah.
Oh, that I saw.
That you saw? Mm-hmm. Well, maybe I'm thinking like years and years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe
there might have been more.
Yeah.
We've had some chameleons, snakes. We've come down in terms of exotics. You need to have technical staff to help with some of that stuff too. And
like blood taking. Is that what you're meaning?
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard to offer services when we can't do diagnostics. So
because I remember Dr. Panontin just said to me to put the snake in a plastic bag and take an X-ray, and I'm just like, okay, then.
Were you sure it wasn't a tube or a box?
Maybe that was a bird.
No, I don't think I asked you because you don't like snakes. So,
no, they just.
No. Yeah. Or rats. Let's see. Lots of rats
yeah, we don't need to discuss those. We'll just keep moving on. Yeah, we'll keep moving on from those. Okay. One that I know that I preach myself, especially, is in training a lot of people. And when I introduce myself in training classes, I do tell people that I'm still or was a vet tech. Maybe not practicing as frequently as I used to, but still have interest in it. So Dr. Panontin mentioned this one to me, definitely, about not giving any medication that your veterinarian has not prescribed to your pet.
And I think maybe a couple years ago, this was a lot worse. People giving meds like Tylenols and ibuprofen. And now, you can Google things and easily come up, Advil is toxic. But some people don't think about that. They're like, oh, I have a headache. I'm in pain. I'll take an Advil and it's great. But Advil is toxic for your dogs. It can cause a lot of issues. Tylenol is extremely toxic for your cat. Can cause lots of issues. Gravel, Benadryl, great. They're safe, but you should always consult with your vet for dosing. And we don't ever want to give anything that's going to be toxic or bad. So I mean, yes, you can find this stuff on Google, but even better, call your vet. And I had another little segue on this one. If there is meds or you are worried, there is vet pet poison controls too. There are other resources if you can't get a hold of your vet. But yes, please don't give over-the-counter medications if you don't know what you're given.
Yeah, because I think people don't understand is they think that, they have, pets have kidney liver like we do. Mm-hmm. I find a lot of times it's, for some reason, they give the 30-pound dog that they have the same dose they would take. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, no.
And again, dosing can be completely different. Sometimes we dose extremely higher in some drugs and some, low. So it's not always equivalent body mass to body mass. So definitely, consult if you don't know.
Right. Okay. So next one we're going to move on to is asking questions. Mm-hmm. So like I said, Dr. Panontin came up with it. I think, we've all been to the doctor. We've all been to Emerge. And then obviously everyone's been to sort of the vet clinic. And it can be a little bit stressful, a little bit overwhelming. So Dr. Panontin had mentioned it's important to ask questions. So do you want to elaborate on that for me?
I mean, and again, sometimes people don't know what to ask or don't know when to say. And I always encourage people to, think about any questions you have and email me or ask me afterwards, because for you to understand, I'm giving you a diagnosis, like a cancer diagnosis, for example, and it's something really bad. And I want you to ask questions. I want you to know what's going on with your pet. I don't want you to leave and not know, not understand. So I need you to ask questions so I can help you understand.
Yeah. So it's but I think a lot of times, and I think Dr. Panontin, what she's making the point is you can be overwhelmed in that moment.
For sure.
Right? But you can still reach out.
Yeah. After the fact.
Go
home and think about all the things you wish you asked and come back and ask me. Yeah.
Because, you're definitely sensitive to it. You get the fact that, life's going to change for these people and, you're human. Yep. Yeah, you are human. Yep. So in dealing with those, for sure, I think it's really important. And I guess one little joke I want to make, not necessarily joke, but be careful what you're Googling.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Because it's sort of funny where, people will, again, self-diagnose, whether it's themselves or whether it's their pets. Or if they start looking up a term or something that you had discussed. Remember, it is quite different in the dog world than the human world, right?
Yep. And it's not that I don't want people to Google or research, because definitely you need to go home and look those things up. But it's also good to clarify. So, and when we're Googling, try to use resources, like you said, that are more pet specific. So if we're looking at, universities, we're doing research, we don't want to look at Joe Blow's website that, we can't trust. But
so you're basically, and I think with the whole world of the web and stuff is the vet clinics usually have resources.
Yep. Right. And a lot of times, exactly. We'll have client handouts or things posted on our website. And if we don't, we can find those for you too. So we can look them up. So the bottom line is just, if you have questions, ask them, even if it's after the fact. Or in the appointment, the other thing, people have a variety of knowledge, and sometimes I don't know what you know, or I'll use terms like, I'll say renal, and some people don't realize that means the kidneys, and tell me that, let me know. And it's not, there's no shame in asking.
I was going to say any question is never a bad question.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Same with us a little bit in using terminology and stuff. But that's why, you're there is to explain and break things down, like the communication for sure. So we're going to head to a topic.
Yeah.
She's
That's a little bit more sensitive.
But once again, Jessica did bring this up, actually. I don't want to say on her own, but it was also asked a little bit. I know I'm sensitive to it because I see behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I get this end of it and I also get the other. So what we're going to talk about is vet shortages. Everybody, I think, felt it more during COVID.
For sure.
But it was almost more like it was happening anyway, but we didn't notice it.
Yep.
Can I be fair to say that?
For sure.
Okay.
I mean, there's been a vet shortage for a long time, like way before COVID, but COVID hit and that's when it just got worse. But I guess I put that more as a question, like, what can these people do? And I mean, obviously, call around to look for a vet, but there's other resources out there and there are, online resources, places that, emergency, there's other things we can do when there's a vet shortage. So, and the vet clinics are trying their best, to get people in, to hire people, find people to come to Thunder Bay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of there's always more to it than one view. Right. So, but like you said, the only reason why I think it was happening before and the reason why we felt it at COVID is because so many people got puppies.
Yeah.
And there were so many more breeders.
Yeah.
Like you even look now and, the odd time, you look at the different lists and stuff online. They weren't they're not even half as large as they were during COVID. So
we've had a couple breeders come in and they're having issues even getting rid of puppies, which I think has been crazy.
Yeah.
Adorable puppies.
It's getting a little bit concerning. Yeah. I agree with you that way too, because I've had a few clients actually are getting puppies that are already 14, 15 weeks old.
Yep.
Because something fell through or they weren't able to find.
They're coming in for their last puppy visit as their first appointment.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So in talking with the shortage, we're just saying, it was already happening, but we saw it sort of, I don't want to say fall apart, but it just got blown out of proportion, let's say, just because so many more. And then you also have to remember, and the reason I think I remember this quite well is because I was shut down as a training facility. And then you also have to remember the staff and everything at the vet clinic were also, kids were home from school. Yeah. We were getting COVID. They were getting COVID.
We weren't allowed to be in exam rooms.
Exactly. So there you go.
An hour to do one appointment.
Yep.
There's, we were behind in annual vaccines because we weren't allowed to do annuals for.
No, you weren't. It was only
emergencies.
What, it was like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, it was a while.
Yeah.
And so then you've got, new puppies, 6 months of vaccines backed up. And there's still some people who are coming in for their first set of vaccines since COVID. And because it's just been that backed up and people were that busy and it was just so much catch up. But I mean, it's been an impact on everybody, obviously.
Yeah. So it's like, I think with any business or even in general, like we're all just finally seem to be, I don't want to even say caught up, like we're finally seem to be getting a little bit better control over it.
Seeing the light.
Yeah, seeing the light, yeah. And the other thing, just to throw out there a little bit is Thunder Bay is somewhat of a northern community. Yes, we're a large city, but the main vet school in Ontario is Guelph. Mm-hmm. And, we even had, 3 or 4 vets leave in the last 2 years to go back home. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, it's not like we're not trying or the vet clinics here aren't trying to get graduates and people up here. They don't want to come.
Yeah. And I guess I can't make any comments, but I mean, it would be curious if they do end up having a program in Thunder Bay. So,
I guess that was throwing out a client too, to make a difference there, or, some of them are coming up. But the other thing to remember too is in other larger centers, they have emerge clinics.
Yes.
So the vet is done at 5 o'clock. You know, so the tricky thing is, and I think we're going to do this in a second. Dr. Panontin and I are going to play a little bit with the day of a life at the clinic. But just to mention, you know, if emergency walks in at 6 o'clock, Dr. Panontin isn't going home. Right? So if you're on call, because the clinics here have to be on call and they're trying to cover it, you can't just, send them to the Emerge clinic. Yeah. Which they're able to do, right? Yeah. So then she spends the night or the evening, and then, you know, it sort of builds. So it can be taxing. One other one we just wanted to comment on.
Again, a little bit more controversial.
Yeah, here we go. So is the costs of veterinary care.
Yeah, and I guess the reason I brought that up is just people ask it, you know, why are costs high or why are costs jumping? And I mean, right now costs are jumping, and it sounds like a broken record, but going back to COVID, like the cost of living is increased, so prices increased. COVID, you know, increased things even more. So, you know, we have to buy supplies. Those cost more. We have to charge more. So in that fact, you know, costs are high because cost of living is high. And as sad as it is, a vet clinic is a business. So we can't work for free. We also need to make a living.
Yes,
we need to pay the technicians so they can live. So everything does cost money. So people always make the comment, you know, vet's so expensive. And when you're comparing it to the cost of going to the dentist or the cost of going to the ER yourself, I mean, it's not. But that's not what everybody sees.
Yeah, we don't like if we go in again to Emerge and stuff, we're not sent the bill. Because the interesting thing is Ben, my son, had his wisdom teeth out last year, and we got sent the bill. Like,
right? It's lots.
It was like, But the same thing.
It's all covered by your insurance and you don't see it.
Exactly. So, or, you know, we have OHIP and we have our own insurance with different jobs and stuff. So, some of that was covered. But, you know, it's the same in vet care. Yeah. Like, if you can imagine what the cost of some instruments that you use in the clinic, and you know,
and some of these instruments are the exact same things that some of these places are using. Some can be very expensive. Yeah,
because I was actually just Amelia and I were chatting yesterday, and you know, we got a new X-ray machine. Like, don't even want to know what that costs. And then you were playing on your little new ultrasound there.
Yeah, new ultrasound. Yeah, nice and fancy.
No, it was petite.
Portable.
Yeah.
Bring it with me.
Very portable. So in starting to summarize a little bit what we were chatting today, and like I said, I wanted Dr. Panontin on here just to break some things down, which I think we did awesome. Like we went through some of the questions and so forth. But I think it's really important to have a relationship with your vet, because when I'm getting feedback from training clients or behavior, I ask if they have a good relationship with their vet, because I think it's important. And I say to them, have you talked to your vet? About it? Because I always, in my head, but again, I started as a vet tech, I didn't start as a trainer, is rule out medical first. That's what happens in my brain.
And I mean, any times you're dealing with a behavioral issue, you have to think of any medical causes before you tackle the behavior, because basically the behavior is kind of not the outlier, but you know, if you have a senior dog who's, you know, started to pee in the house and never peed in the house before, well, we got to rule out a urinary tract infection. We got to rule out pain before we decide that we have to go back to square one with house training, right? So So, you know, that's why I encourage, and I also think that's why those annual vaccines and stuff you're thinking about is important, is having that relationship. For sure. You know, and then it's also learning about new things that have come up, you know, like a new alternative medication. For sure. I had just stopped into the clinic and Dr. Sanzo's already throwing some stuff at me, which is super cool, because I think if all us dog professionals help each other,
right? Then we can further help the dogs and clients.
Again, I love the fact that, when I hear my clients go to the dog classroom, because it makes me happy because I know I got somebody to talk to about their issues.
Yeah.
Especially like in behavior too, even that. I mean, it's good to have the vet and the trainer, working together to try to find a solution.
Yeah, for sure. So I had already commented a little bit about Dr. Panontin also, even though, say, she's not a board certified surgeon for a small animal, but at least she takes an interest. And we all know, the more we take an interest and practice something, the better we get at it. But just to remember is, when we look at the whole world of doctors and stuff, we have like our GPs and then we have our surgeons and then we have our ultrasound techs and we have our blood techs. Believe it or not, veterinarians are all the above. Right? So I have to say,
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades is they need every type of, so again, Dr. Panontin has an interest in ultrasound, very good at it. If technical staff is busy, she has to know how to take x-rays or come in after hours.
I took blood on a cat today. I do that often.
There you go. Yeah, or the bunny's ears. We look to Dr. Panontin because try hitting that for blood work. And then I'm looking at my little list here, like nutrition. You're also a nutritionist. Right? Yeah. Surgeon, also a surgeon, where I know some of them when we get into more orthopedics and stuff, but spays, neuters, exploratories.
Yeah, doing all the
cystotomies. Yeah, like she's in there doing that, right? So they're very multi-talented. So, and it's a lot of schooling. Yeah. Right? Like it's not you just go get a 2-year degree and boom, you're done.
And things don't stop when you're done school. You keep on learning.
Yes, you keep on learning. And we have talked about that actually in different professions and training is nobody's ever, like you can't even say, I think with any profession that you're 100% trained. No. Right? Because everything's changing.
Everything changes. There's always new, again, you're saying new medications, there's new protocols, new things that you're supposed to do and not supposed to do. So we're always learning and we're always learning new things.
Okay, perfect. So we talked a little bit about the vet exam. I think we had a little bit of fun with some of the suggestions that you had. I would like, and if you don't want to do this, I'm going to do it. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit, but we want to talk about a day in the life of a veterinarian. Yeah. So I want you to start me at like 8 o'clock. Think of
I'm up at 6:30.
Okay. Oh shoot. Okay. Let's start.
8 o'clock.
Sorry. My kids are older now, Jessica.
6:30, my dog wakes me up in the morning.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So a dog wakes me up in the morning, got to feed them, they got to go out, got to make coffee, eat breakfast, got to get the kids up or feed them breakfast or vice versa, depending on whoever's up first.
Right.
And then, got to get their lunch packed. You got to get them on the bus. Got to come to work. So now we're probably at 8:30.
Okay.
Now we're at 8:30. Okay. So that all happened before that.
Yes.
And, so got to start the day. We start the day at work with rounds. So discussing with everybody how the day is going to go, trying to plan the day. I'm in surgery like I was yesterday, then try to get all my surgeries done before the meeting that we were going to have at lunchtime.
Okay, so give just a quick rundown how many surgeries you had.
So we started off with checking and trimming a guinea pig's teeth. Then we went to checking a liver. We did a liver ultrasound. Then we went and did a dog neuter. Then we did full or half mouth extractions on a cat. Second half, he's doing very well.
Okay, good.
Then we went and did another abdominal ultrasound on a cat. Then we went and checked ears on a tech's dog.
Yes. Those us techs seem to sneak
just
those.
Throwing that in there.
Sneak those animals
and then another tech decided that we needed to do chest x-rays on her dog too. So we did that all before 11:30. Wow. 11:30, we got it all done.
Go girl.
And then there was a staff meeting, which put a lull in the day. And then we picked up and we started again at 2. And I don't even remember what we did, though. There was a couple things we did at 2, and then that's when the emergencies started coming in for some reason. the new vet decided that she was going to go home. So she got to leave. and then we had a dog bite come in. We had a dog with a bladder blockage come in.
Wow.
And then I had to text my husband and say, you go get the kids because I have to stay here to deal with this. I think it was 6:30 then by the time I was done my day and decided that it was time to go home.
Yeah.
So I was officially thought I was going to be done at 2. Didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
I did all my surgeries.
Yeah, you kicked butt before that meeting.
Yeah,
and
that just meant I got more things to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, which is, again, in talking about rounds, just because you plan in a day absolutely does not mean that it goes that way. No. And I think probably the meeting allowed you to have maybe lunch once this week.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's true. I had lunch because there was a meeting. Otherwise, I don't eat on my surgery days.
No, she's too busy.
Because I got to keep going.
Yeah, and little do you guys realize, too, that the receptionists are constantly asking you questions or when you're sitting at your desk, and trying to get answers for clients that are calling and returning emails of past clients.
I mean, and good, the receptionists are your key. Be nice to your receptionists because it's true, because they are the one who are going to advocate for you.
Yeah.
They're going to come and say, like this dog, I don't think he's doing well and I think he needs to come in and it's that receptionist. So you be nice to your receptionist.
Yeah, I always said that even at my dentist office, you always befriend the receptionist because they're the ones that are going to go out of their way to help you because they're answering the phone. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So just want to thank Dr. Panontin again for hanging out with me, chit and chat about the clinic. I miss it some days. I miss it some days. Dr. Panontin is going to join us again for another episode so we can talk about spring critters.
Sounds like fun.
Perfect. We'll see you then. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching our podcast today. And you can find our podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Spotify. Help me.
Find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. Did I say that already? Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Subscribe on our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Rate us 5 stars.
I am Anne-Marie, and I am one of your co-hosts on the Dog Classroom podcast. She lists it all, and then I go, Spotify.